So this week's episode is going to be one of Zeb's field trip episodes that he's good at editing. We took the Shinkansen bullet train from Kanazawa to Tokyo yesterday after Zeb got finished with work. And it was actually 3 of us this time because my cousin is here and he's visiting. He's still in the hotel, sleeping in a bit. We're going to get some breakfast together, I think around 9. But it's been fun to have him here and to show him around. And we spent a few days in Kanazawa this week, and then he wanted to go to Tokyo, of course. It's his first time in Japan, so yeah, he definitely should see the city. And then we thought maybe we should go see the city again. So here we are. We all came down here.
Okay, so as you just heard, this is going to be more of a field trip episode, which means there's going to be more audio from kind of on location. Unfortunately, not very good at narrating the process, so that's why you're now hearing us from our home here in Uchinada doing a little bit of post-weekend recording to kind of fill in the gaps or kind of add in some extra information about what we were doing.
We can chime in with some context.
Yeah, and so we're back in Uchinada, like I just said, but we spent a long weekend in Tokyo with Annie's cousin, Hardin, and it was like a really fun opportunity to go visit Tokyo and kind of show him around. And we also, of course, got to show him around Kanazawa. But in this episode, we'll just be focusing on the Tokyo time.
Yeah, so the very first thing that we did when we got to Tokyo, we went to the Shibuya area, kind of walked around all the typical places like Cat Street and Harajuku. But honestly, the most interesting thing for me of the day was when we did this side visit to the Suga Shrine and a special staircase that's over there. And the reason it's, I guess, air quotes special is because if you've seen the anime Your Name, at the end of the movie, those 2 characters walk past each other on this staircase. And it's a lot of the art that's in that movie is hand-drawn to be like real-life places in Tokyo. So you can actually go on a little pilgrimage almost, or like walk through Tokyo and visit those spots. And so that staircase exists. Of course, the artists, like,
yeah, it's loosely based on a lot of places.
Yeah.
I actually think we've been to another like anime holy pilgrimage site from Your Name that was much more realistic, and that was the bus stop that we saw on our Matsumoto bike ride. Because
her hometown is based in the Hida area. It's a fictional town, but
like you can see the Hida train station and some stuff like that. But supposedly the staircase we went to is where the artists drew inspiration for that final scene where they cross paths in Tokyo.
It seems to match up pretty similarly. I mean, it's not building for building exactly the same, but it was kind of funny to me that the Suga Shrine there, it's a Shinto shrine and it's a religious place. And actually, while we were there was, I think, a funeral that was happening. But people are going there to worship or, do religious things, but the shrine is selling merch almost that's related to the anime movie, and the Goshuin stamps that you can buy there, the holy seals, they have staircases on them as a nod to the anime because it's so popular, which I thought was kind of funny, but
because
also
I know it sells. Like, we bought one.
I know it does sell, and I liked it. So yeah, they kind of leaned into that pretty hard there. But that was one of the first things we did. And then the second thing later that day that the audio that you'll hear next is jazz music from a festival that Zeb found out about.
So I only found out about this festival thanks to Instagram. So there's a coffee shop that we've talked about before on the podcast called Pessoa, and it's here in Kanazawa. And I follow them on Instagram, and I saw in their story that they were going to be at the Tokyo Coffee Festival.
And we like coffee. We like festivals.
That sounds pretty neat. So yeah, we went over, and it was in Shibuya, close to the United Nations University, so UNU. I don't know the connection to the United Nations. We went over there, and it's also close to a farmer's market. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty neat, like a little area. And it was fun. So we waited in this like really long line to buy a miniature coffee mug and then 4 coffee tokens that you could go around in the festival, and you can exchange a token and they would fill up your miniature mug.
Yeah.
So you could do like a little taste test.
Yeah, each roastery or coffee shop that was in attendance had their own tent, so you could kind of go on a little tour.
Yeah, I thought it was like really fun. It was a nice little like pit stop on our way to Shibuya that day. So then after the coffee festival, we did just kind of cruise through Shibuya because Hardin is a more fashionable individual. He's into, I don't know if I would say he's like into shopping, but he's into fashion. So we took him over through like Harajuku and Shibuya, and we kind of walked through some stores.
Kind of out of our price range, but it was cool to see.
Yeah, because it's like big shopping, kind of like we went to like the Adidas like flagship store, went to some other places. But yeah, it was kind of hectic.
Later that afternoon, we visited an art museum, and it was the Ginza Art Aquarium. And it's a mix between an art museum and an aquarium where the fish are the art. Yeah, it was a really unique kind of exhibit. And the music that you'll hear is the ambient sound that was playing when we went into the museum. It was kind of ethereal, very like dark, moody, kind of artsy. And the first thing I noticed when we went in, actually, like as my eyes were kind of adjusting to the dim light and the lanterns that they had that was lighting the way, it was actually how nice it smelled. And I thought that was unique because I don't really remember smelling a museum in the past. Like, I remember the things I see at a museum, but I did think it was interesting that a couple of the museums we visited in Tokyo, they had incorporated aroma into the exhibit in a way that I guess I hadn't noticed before, or that other museums I'd been to hadn't really done. And I thought that was really cool that it was a multi-sensory experience almost.
Yeah,
and
I think with like the lighting and the water and stuff, it almost was a bit of a sensory like deprivation tank kind of atmosphere. And then they put stuff in there that was supposed to, I guess, create sensations. I do think that that's more of a Japan thing. I've definitely never seen the smells and stuff in other museums. Mm-hmm. And I did keep thinking about the fact that if the lights were on, that place would have a very different feel.
Yeah.
Like it would honestly be a little tragic's not the right word, but some of the fish, like I felt bad for.
I felt bad for them
I was
as
on the fence about if I liked the place or not.
I was just hoping that the fish, because it's a temporary exhibit, I was hoping that like when it closes, maybe they put the fish somewhere else, or like, you know, maybe the fish, I hope they don't live their entire lives in that tiny box that they're on display for,
because there was so many fish.
Yeah.
I don't know where they would put them.
It was a beautiful exhibit, but yeah, I didn't want to think about like where the fish lived when they weren't on display.
Yeah, and then another thing I thought about, and I only was thinking about this because there was an article in the news about it one day, about people complaining about, I guess not complaining, people that have special like sensitivity to smells. Mm-hmm. Apparently there's this, you know, movement for people in Tokyo that really don't like scented laundry detergents and stuff because they say it affects their quality of life. So it would be kind of frustrating if you did have a condition like that and you couldn't visit like a lot of these like art experiences.
Or you didn't realize.
Yeah, because they use so many scents. Because they don't advertise it.
I had a professor in college who was so sensitive to perfumes that it would give her a migraine, and she had signs on her door that, like, to please not enter her office with a lot of perfume on because it would give her a migraine for the day. And I remember just not really realizing that was a thing. Yeah. So yeah, if you were so sensitive and then you just went to the museum. But I liked it. I appreciated it.
I thought it was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
But then my favorite part of the day was our evening, where we went. And actually, last time we were in Tokyo, we went to see him too. So we talked about him last time we were in Tokyo. But I have a friend from graduate school named Taka who lives in Tokyo. And it was fun because last time he came and saw us when we were staying in Asakusa. And this time we went to see him. And he lives or grew up near this part of Tokyo called Sangenjaya, which essentially means like the 3 tea shops. And so it was fun to go to kind of his part of the city.
Yeah, it was his
and
hometown where he grew up.
Yeah, to see where he grew up. And it was a pretty lively area. It had a really cozy atmosphere. It wasn't crowded.
Yeah, there was plenty to do because there were so many different restaurants and things and walkable grocery stores and shops, but it wasn't the same kind of crowded as we were outside of the main metro area of Tokyo, so we were outside of the super central part, so you could breathe a little bit easier in a lot of ways.
And it was interesting because he let us know that the locals call it Sanchaya, because I guess Sangenjaya is a little bit too long, so they just shortened it to Sanchaya. And so, yeah, we had like a really nice dinner, and we had
curry.
Yeah, Indian curry. And then this is maybe the most interesting applicable part to people who are visiting Tokyo. There are a lot of places you can go to see a nice like city landscape view from high up. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen this one mentioned, but there's a place in Sanchaya, and it's affectionately known as the Carrot Tower because it's a really big orange building, and it's free, and it's open pretty late, I think almost until 11 p.m., and you can go up to, I think it was the 26th floor. Mm-hmm. So by no means is it the highest building in Tokyo or anything like that. But yeah, it's just like a free place. You
can still see pretty far.
Yeah, you can see pretty far. You don't get the best view from the free side. If you want the view that's kind of towards downtown Tokyo, there is a restaurant on the top floor that you need to go into. But other than that, it was a nice area to kind of explore, get out of the big crowded part of Tokyo and see a pretty night view.
It is one stop outside of the metro, so if you have like the 24-hour, the value pass, you have to pay extra, but only like 140 yen extra. So the next morning we went on a rickshaw tour, which is something we've never done, and this was in Asakusa. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, just a moment.
Sure.
Of course, safety belts.
Okay. You can stay in here.
Yeah, I don't want to fall out.
Thank you.
And safety first.
Yeah.
It is Japan.
Yeah.
Oh, no sunburn today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you go to the inside of the main street?
Not yet. We
Not
came
yet?
straight here from our hotel.
Oh, okay. Nice. One, two, three.
Whoa.
Hopefully we're not too heavy.
Yeah.
So heavy, too light.
Yeah.
I cannot feel anything.
Yeah. Okay.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's great.
Let's go. Let's go.
Wow.
Let's go.
Dang.
It's fast.
I know. Feel the wind.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Let's go.
I'm super impressed.
I know. You must get a crazy workout.
I know.
It is comfortable.
Yeah.
It is.
Please relax. Today you don't need a walking around the city.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
That's why
nice.
I'm running.
Yeah.
Please follow me.
Yeah.
You have to follow me. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be right here.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to expect. It was faster. Like the tour guides were so much faster at pulling the cart than I expected, and it was more fun than I expected. And so the guides, we had Taku was our guide, and then Joe was my cousin's guide. They were really outgoing and really fun to talk to, and I learned a lot of things, a lot of random things, not necessarily, like I could have asked them more historical facts, but it was fun to just kind of chat with Taku, and they were really friendly.
Can you see Hello Kitty?
Yeah.
Yeah. When this shop open, Hello Kitty wake up.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it is 11 o'clock, it is open. It will be open.
The eyes.
And the eyes open?
Exactly.
That's so cute.
When the shop open, eyes open, close, eyes close.
That's
Oh.
so cute.
She's sleeping there,
Yeah.
even now.
That's funny.
What is on the post box on the right?
This
What is that?
it is like it is orange street, and they have like a mascot character.
Oh.
This is Orente. Can you see Orente?
Yeah, Orente-kun.
Orente-kun.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
Oren, it means the orange street. Orente. Do you know te means te?
Oh, hand.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
In the past, I told you that there is like a craftsman street.
Yeah.
And so many Japanese traditional craftsmen
Yeah.
working there.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why
so
the
he's like a
orange and like a
man.
hand
I see.
combined is orange.
Orange, orante.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think as a tour, it was fairly interesting, but I think more, again, just kind of as like an experience.
Yeah.
That was like the fun part for me because I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did because we do have them here in Kanazawa and you see people doing it and it looks kind of like gimmicky and it kind of seems like tourist trap isn't the right word, but it seems like the kind of thing that you would pay a lot of money for and then maybe it's not
It just
that
seemed
great.
like slow and maybe awkward and like
Yeah, like
I don't
why wouldn't I
know.
just walk
Right.
and see? But our guide did a really good job and it was more interesting than what I expected.
Mm-hmm. And they're so fit. Like the amount of running that they have to do and pulling these carts is so impressive.
But that was over in
Asakusa.
Asakusa, which is on the other side of Tokyo from where we were staying, so closer to the Sensoji Temple. Unfortunately, after that, we had to go back to the other side of Tokyo to go to Shimokitazawa.
We didn't have to, but this is something
No.
my cousin really wanted to do, and I'm glad we went.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that he's like a fashionable individual, and he had heard, I think from TikTok,
Yeah, maybe.
that Shimokitazawa is a famous area for thrifting or going to vintage clothing stores. And so he asked if we could go over there.
This is also outside of the metro by like one stop because we had to pay, I think, 140 yen, like the one stop fee to get outside of the metro.
Yeah, so this can be a good time we can mention that we were mostly traveling by metro, and that's because we were staying in Akasaka, and it's kind of like at a confluence of the Chiyoda and Ginza lines, and so we had the metro passes, and it was super convenient, so I would highly recommend that. But do be aware that it only works, of course, on the metro. So you might find a situation where maybe you have to pay, I think it was only like 180 yen to go the extra stop.
It's not a lot.
So not too bad.
But for a 72-hour pass, I think it was 1,500 yen, and you could just swipe that thing as much as possible. It was super convenient. A one-day
Yeah.
pass, I think, is only like 600 yen.
Yeah, it was super nice. And this is in conjunction with how much walking we did. So each day we walked in between like 9 and 12 miles. So really we walked
Like
close to 36
12,000
miles.
and 23,000 steps a day.
Yeah, it was pretty big walking days.
But that's like the most fun way to see the city, I think.
I think so too, because you get to see more kind of just weird places. But what did you think of Shimokitazawa once we got there?
I liked it more than I thought I would. I was afraid that we would get there and there wouldn't really be a lot going on, or that like the shops wouldn't really be what TikTok made them out to be, or, you know, whatever he was expecting. But it was, besides it being a little bit out of the way, it was actually really crowded. Like there were a lot of people there. And it was also a lot more affordable than the thrift areas that were in central Tokyo within the metro line. And so I was glad that we had taken the extra time to get out of the city. I mean, we weren't out of the city, but just to get out of the very central part of Tokyo.
Yeah, because a lot of secondhand shopping in Tokyo is very curated.
It's more
So-
like consignment stores where it's
Yeah.
boutique and
It's not
expensive.
like Goodwill.
It's brands that you pay a lot of money for.
Yeah. So that was kind of like an interesting point, but it was also really nice that once we got over there, I don't know if this happens every weekend, but we came out of the station and there was like a market going on.
It was right there. Like you
Yeah.
exit the station and you're in the market. That was also surprising to me. I was like, oh, we're right here.
Yeah, like the shopping is happening right here on the streets. And the first thing I saw that was funny, it was literally someone that had a tarp out and there was a huge pile of clothes on the tarp. And I can't remember how much it was.
It was like everything's 1,000 yen in this pile.
Yeah, and so everyone was just kind of like rummaging through this huge pile of clothing, like looking for something that they liked.
Which is cool because that kind of like treasure hunting is what I like about thrift shopping. And I don't really like as much the consignment stuff where you're like looking through an air-conditioned rack, but everything on the rack is like 5,000 yen. That one's not as fun. I did buy some shoes at this one. I got some
that's true. I forgot you got
leather.
something.
I mean, I guess they're leather. I don't know. I got some Birkenstock sandals, which I had wanted to get sandals, and I was excited because they had my exact size.
Just
So that
happened
was
to be
fun.
what you needed.
And those were 5,600 yen.
I think they were 6,300 yen.
That's a very specific number for you to remember.
No, I don't know. I just made that up. But then that evening, so we kind of spent the day, and I think after that we actually went back to the hotel because at that point we had done so much walking and we'd gotten up earlier to go do the rickshaw thing. We were kind of blown out. So we went back to the hotel, had a little bit of downtime. And that evening you had tickets to go to Tokyo Skytree. Mm-hmm. And then Hardin and he was pretty motivated to find some jeans. And so we ended up going to Ueno to go to a shop called Hinoya, which is kind of famous, I guess, as a denim shop. And so that's where we went. But how was Tokyo Skytree?
Yeah, so I had bought the ticket ahead of time, and then I asked you guys, do you want to join me? Like, I have this ticket. And, once I got there, I was like, oh, I hope it's not too fun. Like, I don't want to be bragging about this cool thing I saw without you guys. And it was cool, but I did enjoy the experience with Taka and, like, Carrot Tower or whatever more. This was impressive, but there were just so many people. You know when you visit somewhere and it's cool, but the crowds make it less enjoyable?
Yeah.
And it was kind of like that. It was so crowded. I think because we were like 360 meters off the ground, it was impressive, but I did get a little claustrophobic because you have to wait in lines to get on the elevator, and I was kind of like, I don't know, I just kept having these fears of like, what if there was an earthquake and I'm like up here? I would just probably die, but
Yeah,
that's dramatic. But
that is dramatic.
It made me kind of worried to be so high off the ground with so many people in an enclosed space. But the view was cool. But yeah, I think when I got back on the ground, I was like, all right, yeah. I mean, it was nice, but I don't think I would do it again. And I also did that. I tried to make it during sunset. And I had tickets for 7 o'clock, which is like right after the sun sets. However, I waited in the line and I got the ticket. It was really easy. And then I like got confused, I guess. And there were 2 directions and this couple in front of me walked to the right. And so I walked to the right and I was like, all right, how do I get up? And I was like, well, everybody's walking out this door. So I walked, and then I was all of a sudden in the exit. I like somehow got my ticket and like left instead of turning the correct way and going up. I was so annoyed with myself, but I was like, okay, so then I went back inside. By the time I got up, the sun was pretty set, so it was just dark, which it was still cool to see the lights, but maybe it would have been cooler if it was in the daytime and you could actually make out all the little buildings and things.
Yeah, we talked about this, but I'd kind of read in some reviews that some people said it's better in the daytime because at night you're so high up that you can't really tell what's going on. You just kind of see specks on the ground.
I thought it would be cool, like seeing a starry night sky or something.
Yeah,
but it wasn't.
I can see the appeal, but I was kind of worried that it was going to be like what you described to me later, that it was going to just be like super crowded and you would kind of be like shuffling through.
I also had no idea how expansive the Skytree area was. Like, you don't just get there and then there's the Skytree. They have an aquarium and a plaza, and outside of the Skytree, they had this whole festival going on where there were lanterns and food trucks. It was kind of like a Christmas market, but if everything was, like Asian themed, because they had these Chinese red lanterns, and then each food stall had like a different kind of Asian food. Like they had Korean beef and Chinese noodles and Japanese street food. And yeah, so I was just impressed by the amount of things that were happening in that area.
Yeah, that is cool. Well, you didn't need to worry about us because Ueno actually turned out to be way cooler than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I had no expectations. I had no idea what it was like. And really all I knew about it was I saw a picture of the denim shop because I was Googling where to buy jeans in Tokyo because I don't know anything about it. But Hardin also didn't seem to know where to go. And so I found some like resources online for like denim people, fans of denim. And a lot of people say, in Tokyo, this is where you go.
And wasn't this shop like made in New York, but then the denim came from Japan or backwards?
Everything was Japanese.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So like everything there was from Japan and made in Japan.
Oh, nice.
They did have Levi's, so you could get, I guess, like an American brand. But I guess in the world, Japanese denim is really popular. But I literally, that's all I knew about Ueno was that there's this denim shop there called Hinoya, and that's all I knew. So as we like walked over there, it kind of seemed a little quiet. We did walk by a bunch of kind of hostess bar type places. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we walked closer to where the train station was, and like underneath the train station it was just this big area with all these tables out in the streets, and there were tons of people like drinking and eating, and it was really loud and like super lively, and there were like big crowds. So it turned out to be kind of like a nightlife spot, which I had, no expectations for. And then kind of once we saw how crowded it was, I was like, oh man, this denim shop, it's going to be chaos. Mm-hmm. But then like right in between all the bars was just kind of this quiet denim shop.
That's nice.
Like there really wasn't anyone in there.
Well, probably because everyone's trying to have like a wild Saturday night. They're not trying to like buy jeans.
Well, yeah, that's why it seemed like a funny combination of it happens to be where this really popular shop is, but most people apparently go there to drink.
Probably on a Saturday night, yeah.
Yeah, so it was interesting to go there, and it was neat to see kind of this like nightlife spot that I didn't know that existed. Mm-hmm. And it did feel, it had a different feeling than other nightlife spots that I've been through. It was almost like if Golden Guy was just in the street instead of in like little tiny bars. All the little bars were just in the street. So it's cool because it was really good people watching.
And you said that after Hardin tried on the jeans, they actually hemmed them?
Yeah, I was going to say he found a pair that he wanted, and then he tried it on, and then the store guy looked at it and then kind of like rolled them up and was like, yeah, this is the way they should look. And then after Hardin changed, the guy had like pinned the jeans and stuff.
That's cool.
And then he was like, all right, come back in 45 minutes because we're going to hem them for you. So then that's kind of when we did our people watching, and we just walked around Ueno.
You didn't get any snacks or anything?
We did go to a Family Mart, but it was pretty nice. I will say that this was probably the first place in Tokyo that I did have the thought, like you wouldn't want to go there with a family, especially if you had younger kids. I actually did see a family there with younger kids, and I did think maybe they didn't know it was going to be like this.
Yeah. Because
we were there at 7, and there were people that were visibly like smashed, like they were drunk.
Well, and aside from that, you had sent me pictures of like merchandise that stores over there were selling, and it was like definitely like R-rated merchandise with everything just kind of out.
Yeah, it was like a fully printed shirt. It was just like naked models.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting. I don't know why. I guess obviously that kind of attracts.
I mean, I guess you can just wear that for shock value. But
that's kind of what I was thinking, that you would like buy it. Like I could see a young person buying it kind of as a joke to be like, look what I got. But I've never seen that anywhere else.
No one would
Japan.
just wear that in public.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. So aside from that,
it was a cool area.
It was a pretty cool area.
Well, so that brings us to the final day.
Okay, so I'm now walking through a little area here. I went to a 7-Eleven with Annie. We got breakfast, and she got coffee. And she made fun of me for being elite, because then I walked to Lawson and got coffee at the Lawson when she went back to the hotel room. And so I got my snacks, got my coffee, and I'm walking kind of back towards, I think I'm gonna walk by the shrine again this morning, because today's the day we check out of our hotel. Which actually, I guess I kind of need to, it's already 9:20 and we gotta check out at 10, so I don't have a lot of time. We're just kind of walking around the block this morning. And it's interesting, compared to Saturday morning, there's a lot more going on. Because of course now it's Monday morning, so people are kind of scrambling around on their way to work. on their way to school. A lot going on.
So after we checked out of the hotel, we went over to Tokyo Station to get a locker so we could store our luggage. And then we had some time to kind of enjoy the day in Tokyo because our train back to Kanazawa wasn't until that afternoon.
So we're now in Shimbashi, and we just had ramen lunch at Haruchan Ramen. It was really tasty, and it's on the Michelin Guide, which I don't really know what that means, but it was like a really small place with maybe like 5 or 6 seats, and you paid, got a ticket, sat down, and then got your ramen. It was really good, so I'm waiting for Harden and Annie to finish theirs since I got a seat before them. And this morning, so before we had ramen, we were actually over in Akihabara, so we were kind of showing Harden, I guess, the Akihabara electric town, and kind of showing him that area in Tokyo. So of course we did the classic. We went into Animate, and then we went into Mandrake, and yeah, it was kind of the classic, I guess, otaku and or weeb experience. But it's kind of interesting to see. It's pretty niche, like pop culture. Of course not niche in Japan, but I think as a foreigner visiting Japan, it's fun to see. So we had that experience, and then we came over to Shimbashi to get ramen. And we came to Shimbashi because it is like kind of on the way towards Odaiba, because we're going to go to a museum over there. And that'll probably be the last thing we do in Tokyo before hopping on the Shinkansen and going back to Kanazawa. So we're about to get on to the monorail. I think it's the monorail. And we're gonna go out to Odaiba. So right now we're standing in the station. And unfortunately, Annie and Harden are trying to, we have a couple different passes, but I don't think this one, you can't use the Tokyo Metro Pass, and you also can't use the JR Pass.
本日はゆりかもめにご乗車いただきありがとうございます。この電車は豊洲行きです。Thank you for riding the ゆりかもめ。This train is bound for 豊洲。この先揺れますのでご注意ください。
This one's fun because you get to see the city.
お待たせいたしました。この電車は豊洲行きです。次は汐留です。
We were going to visit the Small World Tokyo Museum. The Small World Tokyo exhibit was this miniature world museum that you could go visit, and each room had this huge world that was built inside with these tiny little scale models. And I thought it was just going to be something cool and very detailed to see, but it was actually so much more fantastical and creative than I expected, because not only were the worlds little cities, but when you get up really close to them, and you could look at one of these rooms for like hours probably, you would notice that all the little people in there, like they were dressed in different outfits, or there would be different kind of fantastical things. Like there would randomly be a little group of people fighting a dragon, or some people riding a tiger, or different things that were happening in these miniature worlds that were really fun to just kind of explore and see what you could find that they had created.
Yeah, they put a lot of Easter eggs in there. So on kind of from your view, when you first walk into the room, you think, oh, this place is based on like the Swiss Alps. Mm-hmm. And isn't that cool?
Yeah, you could like press a button and the little what do you call the ski lift kind of thing?
Ropeway?
The ropeway would move, or the train would move.
Yeah, but then once you started looking closer, you realize there are all these other things going on kind of in the scene. And then I feel like it got progressively more fantastical. Like the first thing you see is the Swiss Alps and the ropeway. But then you kind of like look over and there's this different part of the village. Mm-hmm. And then that's when you see like the dragons.
Yeah.
And then you look over again, and there's this area that kind of looked like Dubrovnik in Croatia. And then you see like, oh, the center of the town like rises up like out of the ground. And then you kind of look around more and you're like, oh, there are sea monsters in the ocean. And they're...
Yeah, like every time you looked closer, you would find something new and cool. So I really appreciated it. And just the amount of work it took to make the multiple rooms of teeny tiny worlds was really impressive. It was cooler than I expected. The best thing about the museum was probably for Zeb, actually. They had a special set based on the Evangelion anime, which Zeb loves. Nice.
But we can go up and see the city. Yeah. I think they actually launched them up into the city.
Oh.
So if we go up the ramp. And then we can find that last hot dog and get out of here.
I know, we gotta go soon.
I know.
You for real?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's 3:30. I think we have plenty of time to get to the train.
Yeah. Oh, it is like the city.
Yeah.
And then they also had another room that was the hangar where the Evas launched from. So you could go in there and see that.
So this week, our words of the week are actually going to be these two special words that will be explained by Taku, who is our rickshaw guide. So we'll go back to that day in Asakusa when we were in the rickshaw being guided around by Taku.
Dekai.
Oh,
You know
Dekai.
dekai?
Dekai.
Dekai means
No,
it is big.
like
Oh,
really
In
big.
Different
the
than like Oki?
Oki is a kind of the look at my face.
Yeah.
Oki. Oh.
Yeah.
Deka.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
just massive.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. That's
So
different.
big, okay.
If you are like a surprise
Yeah.
for the something like a big things.
Yeah.
Oh my god, deke.
Oh, okay.
Deka. It's kind of like a Japanese style.
all right.
Oki is like a too like a formal.
Okay.
Oki is not Japanese. Japanese. Oh, deke.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good to know.
Yeah.
I'll use that.
In the class.
Yeah, yeah. My students will be,
Students.
they'll be impressed.
Do you know Pokemon?
Oh, yeah.
He loves Pokemon.
When I was a kid, I grew up playing
Oh my God.
Pokemon.
Do you know Densetsu no Pokemon?
Densetsu no Pokemon?
And
No.
kind of the, do you know Lucario?
Yeah.
And not normal Pokemon, like a special, like what do you say? Two special Pokemon like a Lucario and Darkrai.
Oh, yeah, we say legendary.
Exactly,
Yeah,
legendary.
okay.
We say Densetsu no Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
Densetsu.
Densetsu.
Densetsu no Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
And we talking about, do you have a Densetsu no Pokemon? You don't have a Densetsu no
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
So how'd you feel about our weekend in Tokyo?
Yeah, it was fast. It was like fast paced and fun. I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was
What
really
about you?
nice. And I'm glad that we stayed in Akasaka.
Why?
I just felt like it was very convenient, and I'm glad that we used the metro, because I think our first time staying in Tokyo was a little bit overwhelming because we always tried to follow kind of like the Google directions for the quickest route, which sometimes, you know, like you'd be on a JR line, like the Yamanote line, and then sometimes, then you'd go get in the subway, and then you'd do something else.
Yeah, we pretty much only used subways this time.
Yeah, it was really nice to just use the subway, especially how connected specifically the Chiyoda and Ginza lines were and how easy they were to get to from Akasaka and the hotel we stayed in. And it was nice because we were using the metro so much, by the last day, I actually I could recognize the stop names and I could recognize what was going to be
Wow.
around the stop.
Like a local.
not like a local, but
No, I'm just kidding.
I started to like understand the layout of the city more.
Yeah.
Whereas before, when we were like bouncing between like,
Yeah, it's just such a grand scale. You have no idea where anything
yeah, we were going
is.
from like the train to the subway to the
And you save money
monorail.
if you only pick one pass and then use it. I feel
Yeah.
like previous trips, it made more sense to use the Yamanote line and use the trains.
I
But
think just because we were staying somewhere that was a little more out of the way.
we were
where-
staying in like the Shinjuku area that time, and we were closer to a train station, so that made more sense. But
Yeah.
yeah. Also, if you've been confused, Asakusa and Akasaka are two different places, and I just thought Zeb was pronouncing Asakusa weird until I realized that Akasaka is different than Asakusa.
Yeah, Akasaka is near Roppongi Hills, and it's on the like Shibuya Shinjuku side of Tokyo Station, and then Asakusa is on the other side of Tokyo Station, kind of like away from Shibuya and Shinjuku. So yeah, overall I really enjoyed this time in Tokyo.
Yeah, I
thought
hope
it was really
that
fun.
I hope Hardin did too. It was fun to have time with him in Japan and to go to Tokyo together.
Yeah, but he left this morning, so that's kind of why the podcast is a couple days late this week. So yeah, we've kind of been hanging out with him, and yeah, we finally had some time to sit down and talk about our weekend.
Yeah, and hopefully you liked this week's format. Thanks for always listening to our rambling. And Densetsu and Dakai, those are this week's words, thanks to Taku. And you can reach out to us, as usual, at ramblingramsbottoms@gmail.com. You could sign up for our monthly newsletter at ramblingramsbottoms.com, or you can leave us a review wherever you're listening now.
Yeah, so thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.